Hi there, teens! We are going to make some adorable, cute little Pom Pom bunnies today. So grab your kits and some other tools and we will get started. Okay, to make these Pom Pom bunnies, you will need to have a pair of scissors and a pen and a quarter and a hot glue gun. You can also use some craft glue if you want to, but it will take longer for things to dry. So the hot glue gun is better. So let's get started. I'm going to move my hot glue gun over to the side so I don't get burned. And we're going to make the pom-poms. So in your kit you would have received 2 of these skeins of yarn, and one of them is bigger than the other. So you're going to make a large pom-pom and a small pom-pom. I'm going to show you. I already made my large pom-pom, and you received some circles in your pom-pom. And what I'm going to show you how to make a form to do these pom-poms, but I'm only going to make the small one. And you're going to use the large circles for the large pom-pom and the small circles for the small pom-pom. So this is what you want to do. Very first, take your quarter, and we're going to turn it this way for you, and draw a circle around that quarter. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Put it in the center so you're making a donut. And you'll do this to both of those circles. Then you're going to cut them out. And like I said, it does not have to be straight. Okay, doesn't have to be straight. Cut out the other one. It's also helpful if your scissors are very sharp. If your scissors aren't sharp, you can sharpen them up by taking a piece of aluminum foil and cutting some parts out of the aluminum foil. Okay, next step is to take this circle and cut it out, but you're going to cut a slit in and then cut out the middle circle. Like I said, it does not have to be perfect. Okay? You have a lot of trash, so it might be handy to have a pan or something handy for you. Okay? So come over here. Cutting out this circle. Okay. Some of you might have pom-pom makers and you can use those too, but this you can do out of cardboard or out of a cereal box. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little wedge out of those 2 circles. So now you see you have a C right there, and they're both right there together. Okay? Next step is to get your yarn. Here's the skein of yarn. And we pulled it for you so that the end should be easily accessible. Oops, I missed one of them. You should have 4 pieces of yarn in this small one. There we go. So if you pulled it out right, you should line up and you should have 4 pieces. This will make wrapping the pom-pom a lot easier. So now here comes the fun part. Start wrapping around those letter C's and go round and round. The reason why we gave you 4 was to make it easier to wrap. And this is going to be a really nice thick pom-pom. So when you wrap your pom-poms, Don't wrap it too hard across. When you wrap them, don't do it too tight. Around the cardboard, because you're going to want it to be separated. If you flip it over, I'm going to work my way around the other side. Okay. And this is going to be really thick because we're going to have a nice full head on our bunny, on our Pom Pom Bunny. So I go round and round and round. I'm going to flip it over again and start working my way towards the end and the background through. Cool things with pom-poms is you don't have to have them too even, because you're going to do trimming at the end, and I'll show you how to do that. But you do want to use all of the yarn that we gave you so you can have a nice thick bunny head. See how the C is almost disappearing? Yeah. A lot of yarn. It's almost like a little yarn pillow. We're going to trim off a lot of this. Okay. Alright, this looks good to me. And I have some yarn left, so I'm going to cut this off so I have something to tie it with. So now I have a tie to tie it with. I only need to use 2 of those, so you can pull some out if you want and to get rid of them. Alright, now you are going to separate right here between the 2 letter C's, and then start cutting right in between the 2. This is why a good pair of scissors comes in handy. Some that are sharp. Okay. Okay, see I've cut all the way through here. Now you're going to take your long piece to tie it together, slip it in between the 2 letter C cardboard pieces, come around to the other side, then you're going to tie a square knot. So you go the right over the left. There we go. And I'm pulling it tight. See how I've pulled it tight? And I make sure my cardboard is not in there. Might be handy to have somebody else there with you to hold this down, and then the left goes over the right. It's a square knot. Good. Now we're going to take out the cardboard forms. You can save those for later if you want to make some more. Here's our long tails right there. Now the pan comes handy. So I'm going to show you how to trim this. So you take the cardboard forms. I dropped one. There we go. And you're going to use them as guides for trimming. So you put one of them right around the tails right here. Do you see? Right around the tails. This is going to be our guide. And then flip it over right here on top. And you're going to put this right up on top. Now you're going to take your scissors and you're going to trim around the outside of your letter C. Careful, don't get the tails. Here, I'm using this as a guide so that I can trim around the whole thing. And you could do this over a trash can if you want. Just be very careful that you don't trim off the tails. Okay, I've done that side. So now I'm going to pull it off. This looks pretty good. And now I'm going to go the other side. Okay. So I'm going to bring that tail up a little bit here and I'm going to press it down and use my C as the guide. Put it on the other side. See, I put it on the other side, kind of like a sandwich. Okay. Now, don't cut those tails. Now I'm going to trim it again. Using the forms as a guide. This helps it to come out really nice and even. So you don't have to do a lot of trimming at the end by eye. But if you want to just do it by eye, you can do it by eye too. Careful, do not get the tails. That looks pretty good. A nice fun brown bunny head. I'm going to cut it off just a little bit more. Okay, there's that pom-pom. So we'll put my tray over to the side for a bit. Now this is what you're going to do. You're going to take the two pom-pom tails and tie them together. So you see how I have two strings here? I'm going to take one there, take one here, tie it together in a square knot. So if you're making pom-pom animals, this is one of the ways to do it. Now take the other two and tie them together. Square knot, right over left, left over right. Very good. Now we're going to trim those off. Okay. Finished with the quarter. Okay, now we are going to make our bunny ears and our whiskers. So you should have received a little black bead in your kit and some fishing line. So you're going to quadruple your fishing line. Fold it in half once. Fold it in half twice. crease it at the fold so that you can thread it through the bead. And then tie it in a square knot. You learn how to do square knots here today in the bag. Okay. Then you have some whiskers going on. You can cut off the loops just like that. Okay. Put that aside for a minute now that you have your nose done, and we'll glue that on in a minute. We're going to do our ears. Okay, so you should have received 2 pinks and 1 and 2 brown or whatever color you got. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to take these and I'm just going to cut out some ears, and you can put them all together. Make them how big you want. But it does need to have a spot to connect it to it. Next, I'm going to take the pinks and I'm going to cut them a little bit smaller. So that they can go inside the browns. Okay. Time for the glue gun. Careful with your glue gun so you don't burn yourself. Put the bunny over here. Alright, so now you're going to glue the pink onto the brown. Just put a stripe down the middle. Or the pink onto the black or the white or whatever it is. Careful, that's warm. Here's the trick, is you want to crease it by putting a little bit of glue on here and then squish it together. Gives it a 3-dimensional look with your bunny ears. See how that looks? Let's do the other one. Good. Put a little bit here. And crease it up and fold it together. Then we're going to glue on our bunny ears. Okay, next thing is to figure out where you want your bunny ears to go. So I'm going to put it right here. Put a little bit of glue right in there. And then tuck that bunny ear down inside. Bring up the yarn around it. Careful, don't burn yourself. Okay, same on the other side. Tuck that bunny ear down inside. Bring up the yarn around it. Cuteness, huh? Okay, now we are going to do the nose. So I want my nose to go right about here. So I'm going to just tuck that on side too. Okay. Then we are going to put on the googly eyes and pom-pom for the tail. So you should have received 2 googly eyes. let's put those on. Cuteness, okay, and then tail in the back. So you should receive some sort of a pom-pom to stick on the back for a tail. If you want to, you can make a tail out of a little bit of yarn if you had any left over. And here is your cute little bunny. Let's see if I can show them like this way. There you go. Hello, Mr. Bunny. Happy Easter or happy spring.